Hello, welcome to another episode of the Horror Vision Horror Podcast. My name is Sean, and today we're going to do something different. So, because Netflix really only cares about putting very cinematic movies that they make in a couple theaters for like 5 fucking minutes, a lot of people did not get to see the movie that John and Ray got to see a week ago in Los Angeles. And that's just me being a little salty. But guys, you saw Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, and you want to talk about it. And I'm just going to turn it over to you. Please tell us about this movie because I just can't imagine.
Well, first of all, we're doing it spoiler free tonight, so
Yes.
just emphasis on that straight out the gate. When it drops on Netflix, we're bringing the whole gang back for a conversation
Word.
on that. Like, no joke. That's what we're doing.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Monsieur Raymond and I saw it at the Egyptian Theater in Hollywood on 35 millimeter, which was a real treat. I mean, okay, it's one thing to see a Netflix film projected digitally in a giant theater. I would have gone to see it anyway if that was the case. I think anyone really should go and see it anyway if that's the case. But
Same here.
35 millimeter, just taking it to like a whole different level. Um, let it also be known that Frankenstein is one of my favorite novels of all time, and I felt that hitherto no one has made a good film adaptation of Frankenstein. The James Whale film from 1931 with Boris Karloff doesn't count. That film is based on a stage play that is inspired by the novel. I love that film. I love Bride of Frankenstein as well. Um, I kind of enjoy the Hammer horror version of Frankenstein, Curse of Frankenstein. The closest one film that has ever come to doing that novel any justice in terms of plot was the Kenneth Branagh monstrosity. That film is absolutely atrocious. Uh, so, needless to say, there was a lot riding on this film for me. And normally I don't use this term to describe a film because I think it's horribly cliched. I don't think I've ever used this term to describe a film, but I'm going to with Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. This film took my breath away. It took my breath away in just from start to finish. The film follows the novel relatively well. There are definitely changes, and when we get into the full spoiler review in a few weeks, we'll get into those. There was maybe one or two decisions that he made that kept this film from being a five-star film and kept it only at like a 4.5 star, 4 3/4 of a star for me. But my God, just everything. And the last thing I'm going to say is that if there was one ingredient I should say a gothic romance should have, it should be to capture the notion of the sublime, which was like really the thing in art, visual art at the time that these novels were written, that were fueling what was being described and what was being experienced by the reader. And what the sublime is, just for the listeners that aren't familiar, it's this feeling in that one is being overwhelmed by something in nature that is much larger than themselves. You look at these like grand paintings of like people standing on mountaintops above a sea of clouds, or in front of like or a ship in a storm, or in many cases, like icebergs and ice flows, which is where we begin with this film and in the novel. And that was on full display. Guillermo del Toro knows the genre in and out. He knows the novel in and out. He understands the gothic sensibility of, Victorian and Edwardian and Georgian England. Uh, he knew the world that Mary Godwin came from, and everyone else that was part of that original Lake Geneva storytelling group. Ray, talk to me. What did tell me what you thought? I mean, I could see you in awe.
Uh, I thought I am somewhat familiar with the novel. I'm not as familiar as you are, but I am familiar with Gothic literature. And like, Wuthering Heights and Dracula and Rebecca, and the film is a very nice representation of Gothic. I remember when it was over, I looked at you and I said, this feels like the most Gothic movie he's made. And that's considering like his whole career and like Crimson Peak and all and so many of his films, like an element of it to me, like with like Kronos,
Hmm.
where he's dealing with these Gothic elements, but he does them in such a very like it's a very honest, it's a very real portrayal of these characters. It's amazing because he's not like there's moments where it could truly be grotesque, but it's somehow not. It's somehow still beautiful and like breathtaking to look at. And it's very it's very much got an artist's hand on it. Like not only in it's the way it's told and the way it's acted, but also in the way it looks and the visual element of it and the way it's shot. Like it is it is a masterful film to look at. And just experience. Like if you just sat there and turned it off and didn't listen to any of the um dialogue and just sat there and just looked at this film as it's going, like it's visually beautiful and stunning. It was nice to experience it on the big screen. If anyone out there, I mean, if you get the opportunity, go see it on the biggest screen you can. Like it was nice to see it on that big of a screen. uh but yeah, it's just it is kind of a breathtaking movie. It's very beautiful. It's somehow very gothic, but it doesn't have like over trappings of like foggy moors or anything like that. It's more of a feeling. It's more of this omnipresence of like death because of that character, and mortality just shadowing things. And it's very well made, and it's an awesome film. It does I mean, to me it feels like it felt like a real return to form, Phil Del Toro. Um, I really enjoyed it, and I think I can't wait to hear what more people say when they see this film.
Yeah, the and it's so hard to talk about this film without getting into spoilers. I mean, I think one thing I will say right now, just I guess maybe just this would be my final thoughts. It's like a teaser here. I mean, just in rapid fire, the costumes are incredible. I mean, I can see this winning best costume design, best production design for sure. I mean, the costumes in this film rival Eiko Ishikioka's costumes for Bram Stoker's Dracula. The just everyone from Christoph Waltz. Christoph Waltz was so just his usual great self. Mia Goth was great as well, and Oscar Isaac was great. But Jacob Elordi stole the show as the creature, and
He's
uh,
fantastic.
he's fantastic. And here's what was really interesting. There's a graphic novelization of the novel. Uh, I'm trying to tiptoe around this carefully here because I don't want to spoil the monster for those who have not seen the film yet. Because they're doing something very similar with what they did with Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok, where they're keeping his look a secret, until the movie's been out for a little while. But th there was a it's based on a graphic novel, like the look of him, and it's very much how I always imagined him to look when I read the novel. And for a while, and I think you could still maybe find this online, years and years and years ago, like over 10 years ago, there was this one. guy who had this website where he used this um, software that police use, the police composite sketch software, to recreate uh, famous people from literature based entirely on how they are described in the novel. And so you get like these sketches of people like Sherlock Holmes and Count Dracula and Hannibal Lecter. And in many cases, they look very similar to how they are portrayed in film. And in many cases, they don't. The weird thing is, Bill Skarsgård, looks way more like the Count Dracula that this guy created. Jacob Elordi looks very much the like the result of what this guy did for Frankenstein's monster, like very much so. It's just so uncanny. He also kind of looks like Richard Ramirez as well, which is like a conversation for a different day. Um, so yeah, I think and this is just all a testimony to like Guillermo del Toro's walking a fine line between fidelity to the world that Mary Shelley envisioned and his own visions and his own interpretation of that world, and really um, linking it to today's world. And some people have like asked him, like, and he's famously said fuck AI, in his in a recent press conference. But people say, it's like, is this about AI technology? It's like, no, it's about something much more broader than that. And it's about really this kind of Manichean kind of bifurcated way of like looking at the world as, like people entirely in one camp and entirely in another camp, especially the way that Dr. Frankenstein is, just like he is in the novel. He's not a benevolent creator, nor is he a purely mad scientist, like in the James Whale film. He is, he's a mixture of both and something a little bit more akin to how many of us are. And likewise with the monster, we see more of ourselves in the monster than we would like to admit.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, that's all. I think I could say a whole lot more about this film, but I think I'm gonna just stop there and wait till we all regroup for the full spoiler, because there's a few changes that he made that I would have preferred he maybe kept a little closer to what the novel did, but it did not sink the film by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, from my final thought, just to add, is that one of the things that I took away um, is that it still very much encapsulates like one of the main themes of that novel, which is like eh, there is as much of the concept of mortality and how we as mortals, as these creatures that going to decay and die, experience mortality, but also like how we experience our own existence in relation to a creator that we don't ever understand why he's created us, and is we grew up with the like questions like, did you create me to just feel pain, or did you create me to feel like happiness, or what did you create me for? And a film still very much deals with those concepts, and I just the way that Oscar Isaac plays Frankenstein and Elordi plays the creature, it is one of the few creatures that I've seen that he's very sympathetic. And he's very sympathetic, and Isaac is driven and arrogant and uh narcissistic, and it's amazing. It's great. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it more because I don't want to mess it up for anybody. But yeah, when it hits, check it out, people.
Check it out. Let us know what you thought, and we'll be back with you soon.
And let me just say now to come back in to end this, no sooner did I get done cursing the universe for not having it play near me,
Yeah.
I would just say, so I'm going to put this episode up as soon as possible because it obviously went wider because it's playing in Nashville, there's the Bellacourt Theater, which is like the art house theater. And I had thought for sure it would be there. And last I looked, it was not. It is there. I just got tickets. I'm
So,
so
okay,
Hey.
so that's what you were like all shocked about just a few seconds ago. You looked like, someone
Yep.
died or like some
No,
country had blown up.
I couldn't believe it. I went on mute and let you guys do your thing, and I just was like, I'll check the Belcourt again. And dude, there it was. I got tickets to see it on the 29th at 12:30 p.m.
Nice.
Avoid traffic, and I just cannot wait to see it. So very excited. And
Nice.
we will be back to talk the hell out of this movie at a later date.
Hapless teenagers beset by demons in the woods. A strange new drug that turns art into murder. A can't beat a deal on a new house with a horrifying past. A video game that might usher in the apocalypse. From the demented mind of Sean C. Baker, author of A Collection of Desires, Shadow Play, and Murder Virus, comes Volume 4, collecting Baker's no sleep work along with several never-before-published short stories. This 99-cent volume also includes the opening chapter of the author's forthcoming teenage giallo novel, Black Gloves and Broken Hearts, due out later this year.